Hey there, welcome into The Spread, NESN.com's NFL Picks video podcast. I said NFL, I don't care, come after us. I'm not sure if that matters or not. I don't even know if we can call this the Super Bowl, but it's the Super Bowl is here. The big game, as they say on the other, where you can't say, weird rules with the NFL. I tell you what, they're doing some good things in terms of making a lot of money. They get you over a barrel. I'm NESN.com's Mike Cole. That's Ricky Doyle. That's Andre Kachaturian. We're back as always to give our Against the Spread picks. I was going to say, we have one pick to give this week. Well, actually, we have multiple picks, multiple varieties of one pick or whatever. It's the Super Bowl. Super Bowl's here, Super Bowl 52. New England Patriots going for, what is it, their 6th Super Bowl in the last 18 years, 17 years, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, who are still in search of their own Super Bowl. It's a rematch of, what was it, 39? If I'm not mistaken? Yeah.
I think Ricky Doyle compiled a list of highlights from that game.
This is the forgotten Super Bowl.
It is. I was going to say, it is really one that I don't care about at all.
Yeah.
Terrell Owens had a great game.
He did.
Very underratedly great game.
Which is almost a prop bet that I entertained as well. We'll get into that a little bit later. As always, we're going to try and make our Against the Spread pick. There's 3 of us, so I guess it's more than one pick. And we'll get into it, I guess, after we get to the standings and look at how we did last week.
Or 2 weeks ago. It was the AFC Championship. Mike, you and I both went 1-1. We got the Jaguars. Both of us picked the Jaguars to cover, and they did. They only lost by 4 points. And all 3 of us picked the Vikings. Ricky, you picked the Patriots, which means you went 0-2 winless.
I mean, might as well keep up with the season-long trend here.
And Mike, I guess if you and I have the same pick, you clinch first place. But we'll see if that happens, if we have the same pick or not.
I can
only clinch a tie.
If I had known that, maybe I would have played a little defense. But I'm a good man, and
exactly.
I made the pick down the line with what
I think I accidentally put you with only one tie.
Oh, I see. That's a good point.
Right.
Well, whatever. That should count as a loss for
Super Bowl week. We're still ironing out the kinks.
Yeah. The new graphics package for the final. Can we say that? I don't know if we should say that, but whatever. This is
season finale.
The season finale. We'll get into that a little bit more toward the end of the show. But let's get into the picks, I suppose. But before I do, Eagles are 4.5-point underdogs as it stands right now. This opened about a touchdown. I would say 6 points, if I'm not mistaken. The early money came in on the Eagles. The money continues to come in on the Eagles. 50% of the spread bets are on the Eagles as it stands right now. 69% of the money line bets are on the Eagles. That makes sense. There's a little more value there. And it seems like every day there's a story out of Vegas where a big-time gambler is putting down about $1 million on the Eagles.
Better X.
It's the Astros-Dodgers guy.
Yeah, a lot coming in. The total stands right now at 48 points. That's according to OddsShark, where we get all of our information from. And it looks like 63% of the bets are on the over, so we're expecting a shootout and expecting the Eagles to keep it close. Both teams come in with the same record, 13-3 in the regular season, obviously 2 wins in the postseason. Both teams 12-6 against the spread this year. OddsShark, again, we just mentioned them. They have their supercomputer. They're picking. They're going against the public here with they're calling for a blowout, especially with the way that the Patriots have been in the Super Bowl. They are saying the Patriots 29, Eagles 16. That's a little one-sided.
Might be one-sided.
Before we get into the picks, run through a few trends. Holler if anything stands out to you guys. The underdogs have covered 13 of the last 17 Super Bowls. The overs cashed in 4 of the last 5. The team that has won the Super Bowl has covered the game outright 82% of the time. 45 of 51 Super Bowls. Normal average is around 80%, so that's up. And the Patriots have covered the spread in 13 straight games when favored by 7 points or fewer. They are favored by less than that.
I like that one, Mike.
So
I'm hollering. I like that one.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Why don't you start it off, Ricky, then, with your
it tells you where I'm leaning then.
Yep.
And I'm leaning towards Patriots in this one. I like the fact that a lot of the money's coming in on Philadelphia at this point. If you want to drop that line a little bit, I'll take that. And see, the thing for me is, I think experience in general across sports is kind of overblown, but if there's one team that I value the experience, it's the Patriots.
Yeah.
And it's because they've seen literally every situation you could pretty much come up with. You look at, they have 32 players with 60 games of Super Bowl experience. The Eagles, meanwhile, they have 6 players who have a combined 7 games of Super Bowl experience. I know that, you got to get there at some point in order to get that experience, but I just think for the Patriots, this is old hat at this point when it comes to that 2-week buildup. They're able to deal with that. In the Eagles, one team, I was telling you this a little while ago, Mike, how it's such a tough team to get a read on as far as what you're getting, and I think that's even reflected in Vegas, where they've been underdogs the last 2 weeks. And I'm not sure what you're going to get at the neutral site. I just think a lot of that, their last 2 wins had a lot to do with that home field advantage. That defense, as good as it is, takes a step back a little bit when it's on the road. This isn't a road game, but it's at a neutral site. I'm not sure they're going to perform quite at that same level they have the last 2 weeks.
It is the road. It's not home.
Yeah, so it's outside of Philadelphia, and I think that I put a lot of stock into those last 2 wins being part of that home field advantage, having kind of the whole being written off type thing. Clearly, people aren't writing them off this week if all the money's coming in on Philly. So I'll take the Patriots even with the points.
I'm going to agree with you, Ricky. I'm going to take the Patriots with my final pick of the year. The New England Patriots, 4.5-point favorites. And here's what I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at Nick Foles and the fact that he's making his first career appearance against the New England Patriots. I spent an hour and a half digging up since 2014 quarterbacks making their first appearance against the Patriots since 2014. And obviously this is this beautiful graphic I made. This is at least 10 attempts in their first at least 10 attempts, pass attempts in their first appearance. So 20 quarterbacks since 2014 have made their first appearance against the Patriots since 2014. And the record is 3-17. The only 3 wins coming from Aaron Rodgers in 2014. I'm sure you remember that game. But, I mean, Aaron Rodgers in 2014 isn't a young dude. He's a legendary quarterback. Alex Smith in his first appearance was that Chiefs-Patriots game where the Chiefs won, 41-17, something like that. And Brock Osweiler is the only other quarterback with the Broncos in that overtime game a couple years ago. Every other quarterback has lost. And we got some big names on this list. Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff,
Bryce
Deshaun
Petty,
Watson.
Landry Jones,
Yes.
Charlie Whitehurst, Brock Osweiler.
Yes, there's been a lot
Brian
of
Hoyer, Brandon
Weeden.
Weeden.
Nick Foles!
Jesus
Nick
Christ.
Foles! Nick Foles! Nick Foles at his best is probably Matt Stafford on an everyday basis.
Jesus Christ.
So Nick Foles is making his first career appearance against the Patriots, and I think that's going to hurt him. And total stats for all these 20 quarterbacks in those 20 games, 58.5% completion percentage, 23 touchdowns, 22 picks. That is not very good. And let me also add, Tom Brady going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, which were top 10 defense this year. Brady against top 14 defenses this year. 6 games, 70.2% completion percentage, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. It doesn't matter how good a defense is. Brady's going to pick them apart. I got more stuff to say, but I feel like you want to talk. So
I don't think any of those quarterbacks have ever had a game like Nick Foles had last week.
Let me say this then. The Eagles last NFC Championship game had 3 touchdowns, 40 yards or longer. The Patriots, since their Week 1 debacle against the Chiefs, have only allowed 1 touchdown longer than 35 yards. That was a Melvin Gordon 87-yard touchdown run. I love Melvin Gordon. Go Chargers. But that's not going to happen. The Patriots are going to give up big plays like the Vikings gave up. It's just not going to happen.
They don't need. I don't think Philly needs big plays to win this game. I think that will obviously help.
You think they're going to have sustained drives against the Patriots?
I think they can. Yeah, I think they can. I'm taking the Eagles. I'm taking the points. I do think, and I'll get to a little bit more of this. I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, by taking if I'm taking the points if the Eagles win this game. I still think the Patriots find a way to win this game. 4.5 points, I like that. I'm not going to like this as much, or maybe I'll like the Patriots more on Sunday morning when I wake up and all the money starts coming in on the Patriots, because I think a lot of that is what's going to happen, is that this line gets driven down to a certain point, and once it gets down to a certain point, it's going to go back the other way. And I think people are going to hammer the Patriots Saturday night and the Sunday morning. But for me, you talk about the experience. I just want to rebuke a couple of points that you guys made. Bill Belichick said Meteor Night, we didn't have any experience in 2001. Didn't seem to bother us. It's a good point. I don't think. I think I'm out of
an AFL quarterback.
Huh?
They were going up against an Arena Football League quarterback.
That is revisionist history at its absolute finest. That was like a juggernaut. What are you talking about?
Kurt Warner was an Arena Football League quarterback.
He was one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league at that point. So what is your point?
My point is, it's just different. Tom Brady, Belichick.
Like I said, those guys you mentioned, they all stink. Most of them stink, except the ones that beat them, who aren't horrible quarterbacks. I think Nick Foles is not Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz plays this game, the Eagles win it. I think they win it going away, because you start looking at the other matchups, there is a lot favoring the Eagles here. In Foles, Foles has proved that he can do it. Okay, he's shown it, not necessarily consistently, but Christ, who doesn't look awful when they go play for Jeff Fisher? Literally everybody. Everybody has sucked for Jeff Fisher. You put him in a system where he's got some guys around him. You're talking Alshon Jeffrey on the outside. Aguilar is pretty good. Zach Ertz is a good tight end. They've got 2 capable running backs where they can run that run-pass option. They've put him in a situation to succeed. They've done a terrific job in terms of kind of adjusting on the fly after that Carson Wentz injury.
Have they though? That
yes.
Falcons game, they were terrible, and let's not forget they got shut out by the Cowboys.
Okay, they were terrible in cold weather against a good defense. You want to talk? Your point was Foles. Your point is Foles. Foles, with 23 of 30, completed 77% of his passes in that game for 246 yards. He wasn't great, but they won the game because they've got a good defense. It's just they've found ways to win. All I'm saying is they've done a good job of adjusting. They've put in an offense. They went back to that Chip Kelly offense where Nick Foles had success, and they've had success with that. And now I've got some other things for you.
He hasn't played a road game. That's interesting.
The RPO. All right, fine. Philly went 6-2 on the road, 5-3 against the spread this year on the road.
He has played a road game. Giants.
Eagles.
Worst team in football.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not. That's again not my point. It's you look at the RPOs. I think that's going to be a huge thing for them. This is it's a really interesting kind of adjustment they've made, or they've kind of leaned on a little bit more. This is from the Philly Inquirer pointing this out. They've run 10 RPOs on 40 plays in their first 6 possessions last week against the Vikings. The best defense in football, by the way. The Vikings, they ran 10 RPOs on the first 40 plays. Foles threw the ball 6 of the 10, completed all 6 for 52 yards. And then the 4 runs, they gained 27 yards. When it comes to defending RPOs, the run-pass option, I feel like we should probably mention that. The Patriots allowed 5.6 yards per play. That's 5th most in the NFL. Again, you looked at what team gave them a lot of trouble this year.
The Patriots?
Yeah.
Running quarterbacks gave him trouble.
Well,
the Carolina Panthers gave him trouble.
The Chiefs.
And the Chiefs gave him trouble. Yeah.
Doug Peterson, Andy Reid guy, they run a similar offense. I think I'm not saying the Eagles come out and win this game. I'm saying they can do enough things that are going to give the Patriots problems to kind of keep this game close, at least into the fourth quarter.
That's another thing. Running quarterbacks gave Patriots a lot of trouble, and Foles is pretty immobile.
Yeah, it hasn't really hurt them yet. He's played fine except for that one Oakland game. Again, you throw out Week 17. I don't think that matters.
I mean, he was pretty bad in that Week 17. But yeah, I don't think that matters. No. He was, anyway, Ricky.
No, just the whole finding a way to win thing is much more difficult going against the Patriots, I think, than going up against the Falcons.
The Vikings were the best defense in football.
I get that, but if you watch that game, they rolled over. That was a sackless effort by them. They completely rolled over. And the week before that,
they got very
again. All right, fine.
If you build that lead, that game's not over. The Patriots have an opportunity to come back in that game.
The Eagles deserve some credit for doing that against the Vikings.
My job isn't to give them credit. That's Visa's job. I'm not going to do that.
Your job is to rip off lines from Colin Cowherd.
I love Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's great.
Yeah.
How did you know I was from him? I didn't know you listened to him.
I do a lot of research.
Okay. So talk about Patriots covering the spread. This is from Joey Osborne. He gave some good tidbits here. The Patriots covered the spread in 13 straight games when favored by 7 points or less. And
okay, mention.
Another thing Joey Osborne said from OddsShark, Eagles have allowed 23.5 points per game. I think you kind of touched on this. On the road, Eagles have allowed 23.5 points per game versus 12.5 points per game at home. Biggest disparity in the NFL in 2 seasons, Joey Osborne.
Yeah. Did you have the Patriots 5 Super Bowls and combined 19 points? Was that in there too?
Every Patriots Super Bowl game win has been close.
Ironically, I thought this was weird. Their biggest win came in overtime. That's weird.
Well, yeah, that is funny. But this year,
I do think the Vikings, before they just completely fell apart and just crumbled, that first drive, I almost got the sense. I thought for a minute they were going to run away with it because they kind of gave you the blueprint of how I think you can beat that defense. Relying on
touchdown to Kyle Rudolph.
Kyle Rudolph ended up, putting the exclamation point on the drive, but they relied a lot on, out of the backfield to Jerick McKinnon, relying on those 2 backs. I think the same type of offensive game flow you're going to see from the Patriots.
Touchdown to a tight end and
I also think
passes to running backs. I love it.
If there's an area in which you can exploit on that Philadelphia defense, it's that secondary. So I think, and we saw last week, I was surprised actually at how much the Patriots came out and kind of went after those 2 cornerbacks in Jacksonville. I didn't think you're going to see that all that much. Obviously, that secondary is not up to that standard. So I think they're going to take some shots down the field. I also think the Eagles, they're susceptible to maybe making a few mistakes. The penalties, you saw the penalties last week. Brandon Cooks, it seems like every drive he's drawing a big pass interference call. You look at the Eagles, they've had issues with pass interference calls this season, so I could see maybe a big penalty changing things, and that's where the lack of experience or just the lack of discipline maybe comes in. I don't know, I just put a lot of stock into the Patriots being better coached, more prepared. Just having been there before, I put a lot of stock into that.
Yeah, I agree. Should we move on?
I had a lot more notes on the defense that I did not put in my papers. I'm really kicking myself. One thing I did want to mention, I thought this was really interesting, and it's in my favor, so I'm going to mention it. Not to get too technical or whatever, but this is, I've mentioned this before at times this year, Sharp Football Analysis or Sharp Football Stats. He kind of did a deep dive, and he found this interesting stat. Against the 11 personnel. I don't want to get too carried away, but that's 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. The Patriots this year are allowing a 61% success rate, 6 yards per carried offenses when they're running the ball out of 11 personnel. That's well worse than the league average. And the other teams are when they're running the 11 personnel out of shotgun, that's 6.7 yards and a 59% yards per success rate. So it goes up.
The Eagles run the 11 personnel often?
More than anybody. And so, the Patriots, I think they faced over the last 5 weeks teams that were. I think the Titans did it less than anybody in the entire league. I think the Jaguars are like the 8th fewest. Philly takes nearly 60% of its snaps out of 11. Jay Ajayi, I think Jay Ajayi is a big player in this game. In 11 out of shotgun, he's averaging 12 yards per carry. So I think there's a chance maybe he will take a big play. I think he's got the best chance of breaking a big play, but that's a team that they're familiar with him too. So
yeah.
I don't know. Those are fantastic. I think that's the way they kind of sustain drives. I think that's something they can do. You can run on the Patriots. We've seen that at times this year, and maybe if it's out of that formation, they find a way. And again, that kind of fits with what Philly's trying to do. I also think defensively, there's some things that Philly can do as well. What?
I just saw your show and tell.
No, but before we get into the bet slip, we haven't really talked. I mean, I guess one other point. The Patriots faced a defense, I guess, last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think this team can do a similar. I think they can do similar things defensively.
Brady against top 14 defenses this year.
70%,
12 touchdowns, 2 picks.
There's another thing too. This is worth just mentioning. The Patriots, I think, in the last, if you go back to the last 4 games or whatever they've been tested over the last year, what would it be? Atlanta, in the Super Bowl, obviously there was the Pittsburgh game. It's just they've had it's just a remarkable run. This is to your guys' point of falling behind in games and still being able to come back. It's ridiculous. They've been
almost
down
to the point where it's like they bait you in.
Yeah,
and it starts to trickle in mentally.
Because if you go back to the Kansas City game that they lost, obviously. Even that game, it wasn't like they were blown out early. Kansas City scored, I think, 21 points in the 4th quarter. You go look at the Carolina game, it wasn't the same thing.
They were up in that game.
Right.
I almost forgot about that and then went back and looked at the
other day.
If you get down in the 4th quarter.
If they get down early, they're going to win the game. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it.
I just think, we've had too many close Super Bowls lately. And
that is one thing that kind of gave me.
This is going to be a Super Bowl, or it's not going to be exciting. It's like a classic 1993 Super Bowl blowout.
I do think
Niners, Chargers.
I think if you're leaning Philly, I tend to think I still think the Patriots win this game, but if you're going to lean Philly and take the points, you might as well put on the money line. Because I think they've got because I do think if the Patriots win, this is a game they probably. I'm contradicting myself, but I could see them. Yes, I could see them winning 31-20.
You can't see the Eagles winning 31-20.
No, but they don't need to win 31-20 to get the money line.
I know, but Okay.
I'm anxious to see how they come out to start in this game because even in these, last week. I already mentioned the Vikings drive to open up the scoring, and it kind of took the defensive touchdown to turn things around. And then in the other game, Foles looked terrible through the first majority of the first quarter at least. So I don't know. Let's see how they come out.
I can't look back 20 years from now and say, oh yeah, Nick Foles is a Super Bowl quarterback. It's just the football gods won't let that happen.
Plus, we've had a long-standing rivalry with Eagles fans this year on the spread. So I kind of have to keep that going a little bit.
Exactly. Let's go to our bet slip.
Although you were kind of the driving force.
Yeah, well, but let's just tell it. I call it the way I see it.
You're willing to bury the hatchet.
Eagles-Seahawks game, right?
Yeah, Eagles-Seahawks.
That caused the Battle of the Birds. Really dug us a deep hole.
We were right about. Well, we were right.
That was basically around the time my season really came out.
We all picked the Seahawks.
It's karma.
All right. Getting to bet slips, just a little something, a little throwback to the first few weeks when we
liked it though.
We were a much more established show with market value and friends.
We got no point codes to throw at you this week.
Yeah, PTS. Promo code PTS at the bottom of the screen. We're gonna do $100 bet slips. It's pretty simple. We're just gonna kind of this. We use this as a way to kick around some of the props, of which there are many. Shout out to Bovado, who sent me over. What was it? I sent you guys. It was 16 pages of props.
Oh my! I was more, I think.
They're like you.
I had some from Mouth Shark as well.
The guy told me, he's like, you can have more if you want. I was like, no, I think that's good.
No.
I think we're good.
No
so.
more.
Andre, why don't you kick it off with the bet slip?
I will absolutely kick it off. My $100 bet slip. I'm going to do it split it in 4 ways, as you can see on the screen. The first one I'm doing is there's a bunch of games that day in the hockey and basketball world. I'm diving into the hockey world here. Eagles total points versus the combined goals scored in the NHL that day. There's 3 games. Now, the Sharks, Hurricanes, Senators, and Canadians are in action. They ranked 18th and lower in goals. They're not very high-scoring teams. And the other games, the Capitals and the Golden Knights, both high-scoring teams. Golden Knights surprising the world, but both have really good goalies with Fleury and Holtby. So I think that'll be like a 2-1 game. Plus, it's harder to score 15 goals than it is to get 15 points, right? It's just easy to score a touchdown. I think the Eagles will crack that 15-point. I mean, assuming each goal you have like 5 goals per game. There's 3 games. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to take the Eagles' points.
Next, what did Charlie Fry do, or whoever in your chart?
What's that?
I mean, I'm just going back to the guy, the other guy.
Charlie Fry?
Whatever. I don't
know. That was Charlie
Whitehurst. Oh, yeah, right. Sorry.
Clipboard Jesus.
Did they score 15 points?
No, that was
well, I'm just saying.
That was 33-13.
Nick Foles is that bad. I mean, geez.
He is pretty bad.
Okay.
He's having a good playoff run. Anyway, Eagles, more points than goals. Okay, that's the first one. The other one I have is the weather versus the at kickoff in Minneapolis versus total points in the first quarter. I'm going to go with total points in the first quarter. The weather, the weather kickoff at 5. The weather's supposed to be a high of 8 degrees that day, but the kickoff is at 5:30. So I think the temperature might be dropping down to 5 around that time. All we need is a touchdown. I think we'll get that. Next one, I have $20 on Bill Belichick and the Patriots winning the coin toss. They're 2-6 in coin tosses in the Super Bowl, 1-0 in overtime coin tosses. So I think the law of averages is going to swing towards this way. Yeah. Patriots will win the coin toss. And $40 on a 3-sport parlay. We already talked about the Golden Knights and their great goaltending. I'm going to take them, the Boston Celtics, and the New England Patriots in a Vegas-Boston parlay.
At what point can we start fading the Golden Knights? Not to turn this into a hockey podcast. Jesus Christ, it makes no sense that they continue to.
Imagine you I don't know. You know what it is? I think it's their home ice advantage. Opposing teams come to Vegas,
and
they all party, and then they go play, and they're all hungover, and they lose.
The Vegas flu. It is real. Ricky.
All right, let's get into mine here. Pull it up. I got the first one. I'm going to go with a nice little 20 spot on the, the first quarter ended a tie. You're getting 3-1 odds here on yes. Much has been made about the Patriots not scoring in the first quarter of their previous 7 Super Bowls. Well, I mean, it just so happens that in 4 of those 7, the score it was a tie game, 0-0. I think that is completely plausible in the situation. A lot of feeling each other out, keep the clock moving. I feel like always in the Super Bowl, the first quarter flies by. Yeah. Like you're just sitting there, and you're like, "Holy crap! The first quarter is already over."
So you spend the whole day waiting for the game to start.
Yeah. So I mean, I could see a situation like that. Maybe
plus 300 maybe good value.
Yeah, good value pick, maybe a 3-3. Who knows? But it's gonna end in a tie. Game's first touchdown. I like LeGarrette Blount here. This is 14-1. Only 2 rushing touchdowns this season compared to his 18 for the Patriots last year. But
revenge game.
But the revenge factor. He's also had 1 in each of the playoff games so far, and there's a pretty good chance that they get the ball around the goal line. He's going to get the rock. So I just like. I like the situation there.
I think one of the best lines this year is when you said Josh McCown has a revenge game every single week. It was very funny.
Yeah, that's what happens. That probably extends to the XFL too before long. I'm going to take Dion Lewis as an 18-1 to win the MVP. I mean, the safe money here says Brady. If you're on the Eagles train, maybe go with Foles. I mean, this is always really a quarterback award. But I like Dion Lewis based on the usage.
They asked Dion Lewis on Tuesday what he remembers about his time in Philly, and he said not playing. So probably gonna be a little pissed off.
You want to talk revenge games? Just revenge is just flying around left and right. So 16 catches over his last 2 playoff games. We saw even down the stretch, just getting the bulk of the carries. Going to be a big part of this game, so maybe you can put up the numbers. I don't know, 18-1. It's worth a shot to throw maybe a 10 spot on that. Chris Hogan, this is another guy. missed a significant portion of the season. I think this is the week that you really start to use him. I mentioned that you could probably exploit that Philadelphia secondary. If you do that, you take some shots down the field. Brandon Cook's obviously an obvious target, but I think Chris Hogan as well, maybe use him outside the numbers a little bit. Over 40.5 receiving yards. Brady over 285.5 passing yards. This again goes back to the fact that I think they can throw the ball in this defense. And then the one that, Andre, you love so much is the Donald Trump over-under on tweets, which is set at 5.
You did some research.
I did a little poking around, and it appears that he averages 4 tweets a day. So this, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world that they would set the bar at 5. I'm going to say under. I'm going to say he goes off the grid a little bit this day. Maybe after the game he congratulates his good buddies on the job well done, on finishing the job. But I don't know. That's more of a just, I got an extra $20, we'll throw it at that and see what happens.
Sure. I was tempted to put, going to my bet slip, tempted to put literally my entire $100 allotment on this one. Starting off with Bill Belichick shirt color. I'm going blue. If you go back to the Super Bowl last year, he wore that blue short sleeve pullover. The one that everybody was like, oh, it's inside out. It doesn't have the Patriots logo on it. It's a big thing. He's worn that a lot this year. He's worn it, I think, the last 2 games. He wore it a lot down the stretch. Patriots, by the way, have played 3 indoor games this year, of which they will play 1 more on Sunday. 2 of those indoor games were on the road in the preseason, at Detroit, at Houston. They also played, where else was the other indoor game they played? At New Orleans early in the season.
Blue in all of them.
Belichick wore blue in all of those. So I'm taking the Belichick wearing the blue here. A little juice on the blue there. That's a tough one, so I got to put down 40 for that. Try to make a little value. Will there be roughing the passer called? That's even money right now. I'm going to go yes. Yeah, I believe there will be roughing the passer called. Again, you got Tom Brady in this game. You got to protect the golden boy, and I think that's one thing I kind of mentioned earlier. That pass rush of the Eagles, ferocious. They have first rounders across the front 4. They got some depth as well. I think that they're a team that maybe won't be able to. Maybe they will be able to keep with the Patriots. Brady's going to get hit at some point in this game. Maybe a little bit late. Who knows? Also, the Eagles, run pass option. Maybe Nick Foles waits a little too long.
Run pass option one more time.
A little too. I'm like Tony Romo.
RPO.
Chris, get used to. You're going to hear a lot from Collinsworth. Or maybe it's one of those things. They get to the quarterback just a little too late and hit him. There's a chance there for a roughing the passer.
It's too
bad the run pass option wasn't a prop bet. How many times they'll mention
that is good.
I didn't see that in there, but that
call
should
up.
be.
I think if I'm not mistaken, it's Bovada allows you to create your own prop bet. That's one to look into. First touchdown score. I'm going to go with Gronk. I think he's obviously going to play. I think that's pretty much apparent. The Eagles, they got Malcolm Jenkins, does a pretty good job on tight ends. They haven't faced somebody like Gronk yet this year. Gronk, size, speed, all of that. You kind of look at what Travis Kelce did to them week 2, 8 catches, 103 yards, and a touchdown. Maybe they want to get Gronk right back into it early and often. I'll take him for the first touchdown. First Eagles touchdown, I'll take Torrey Smith. He only scored 2 touchdowns, but he did have one in the NFC Championship. I think Eagles might want to take a shot deep at some point. He presents one of the better options there, and there's a lot of value there at 17-2. And I like Jay Ajayi at over 2 receptions. Again, I kind of had $20 laying around. That's not a great value pick, but I think he had 3 catches last week, 3 the week before. I think if one of those things, too, where if they fall behind, they're going to have to throw a lot, and probably that's the best way to kind of chew up some yardage here and there. I think he's obviously the better pass-catching option out of the backfield for them as well. Yeah, Jay Ajayi. I think Jay Ajayi, there is also some value for Jay Ajayi as MVP. I think that's a good one. I also like Fletcher Cox, maybe, if you think that the Eagles are going to win. I think he was 40-1. I think it's one of that game where is Nick Foles really going to win the Super Bowl MVP?
Dexter Jackson won it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, good point.
All right, let's go to bold predictions.
Yep.
My bold prediction is also a prop bet. I'm going to bet that Pink's hair will be green during the national anthem.
Wow,
she is from Pennsylvania,
That's
from
a
the
West.
Philadelphia area, and the Eagles wear green. So I think she might change it around or have some green hair during the anthem. Plus 500, so I love it.
Okay. All right.
That's my bold prediction.
See, I had a hard time coming up
That's
with a
why it's
bold
bold,
prediction.
because it's plus 500.
So I came in guns ablaze with my prediction when we walked in the room today. That I said this will be the final game that Rob Gronkowski plays for the New England Patriots.
I like it. That's a good one.
I think he's going to play this week. He's going to have an exceptional performance this week. But as we've seen before, no man's really safe when it comes to the Patriots trading guys. He's going to be 29 in May. coming off the concussion, and he had another suspension this year. He had the suspension. He had all the back surgeries. At some point, I just feel like there's gonna come a point where they'll move on from this guy. I don't know if it's this year. I don't know if it's next offseason or the offseason after that. But hey, we're getting bold. Why not?
Okay, I will go with
a nice little ride off into the sunset for him if he has a big game.
My bold prediction, and you can check me on this if I'm wrong. You look back at the Patriots Super Bowl history; they've been pretty fortunate in terms of injuries. I think this year that changes, just the law of averages. I think somebody, again, I can't give you specifics because it's hard. I think a prominent player for the Patriots goes down with an injury at some point during this game. I'm not sure why.
Very morbid.
I know, but whatever.
A morbid prediction.
I look back and it's like a lot of times injuries swing this game. The Patriots have gotten pretty fortunate. Again, you got to dinged up pretty good to be out of the Super Bowl. So I think that happens at some point. I'll tell you what, there would be high drama if that happened to one Thomas, whatever the hell his middle name is, Brady.
What's that?
All of a sudden, Brian Hoyer's got to come into the game and win it.
Brian Hoyer, MVP.
Instead of Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know. I'm not wishing it on anybody. I didn't have one, and it's the first thing I came up with.
Hey, listen, as somebody trading away one of the most dynamic players in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, what else? You want
to get bold? You can get bold.
You talk about hair color.
Yeah.
Well,
one of them is whether she's going to go airborne during
that is insane.
National anthem. Ooh.
That's more disrespectful than wearing green hair to the national anthem.
I wonder if
taking
the
a knee, you start going airborne.
Were they gonna have an actual flyover, or is it gonna be like an indoor eagle?
They would have. They should have a flyover. Like they got like that glass ceiling just right over the top of it. Would be pretty cool. But you probably can't do that.
Yeah, that would be scary.
Yeah.
All right. Show and tell. Last one of the year.
Who wants
to
go?
Show and tell.
Ricky, you start.
All right. I got a classic automobile here. I already said how I believe that Mr. Tom Brady's going to have himself a game, and he's like a classic car. He gets better with age. And on the other side of the football, let's talk about James Harrison for a second. I like what I've seen from him so far. I don't think he's not coming in to revamp the defense or anything, but I think you're going to get a big play from him. I think you're going to get, whether it's a forced turnover,
99-yard touchdown,
maybe not quite on that level, but I think you're going to get a big play from him, maybe a sack here in a third down situation. I think James Harrison will make an impact in this game in some way, shape, or form, like the old classic vehicle that he is.
Requires a lot of upkeep.
Right.
Yeah, so
here's my.
With the old guys. Love the old guys.
For last one of the year.
Trash.
It's not trash. You think it's trash. And you know who else thought was trash? The Dallas Cowboys thought Danny Amendola was trash. The Philadelphia Eagles thought Dion Lewis was trash. The Cleveland Browns thought Bill Belichick was trash. The Pittsburgh Steelers thought James Harrison was trash. Detroit Lions thought Kyle Van Noy was trash. But you know what? The Patriots, they didn't think it was trash, so they recycled this plastic. And you know what? When you recycle, it's good. You help the environment, and you help the New England Patriots. The reason why the New England Patriots are in the Super Bowl, and they're probably going to win again, is because of their recycling efforts. They're green. They're playing a green team. The Eagles are a green logo. But the Patriots' actions are green, and that's why they're so successful. They recycle, other people just throw in the trash. Nice. Recycle, folks.
All right. For my show and tell, I brought a cocktail of medicinal things. I got
ibuprofen.
I got all you need for Super Bowl Sunday. I got a few things of ibuprofen. Where am I going? Yeah, okay, whatever. Over here. Yep.
Hey.
Few things of ibuprofen, and more importantly, some antacid. You're gonna need these on Sunday. I'll tell you what, little pro tip. You get older, you get hungover a lot more than you used to. And I tell you what, somebody like me, I'm trying to watch how much I drink. I'm cutting back on it. But you know what gets me more than anything? I get hungover on food more often than anything else. So make sure you got some antacids. You're going to have your Super Bowl party. You're going to have your chili. You're going to have your hot wings. You're going to have your nachos. That's just going to wreak havoc on your esophagus. Take some of these beforehand. That's the pro move. You do the Tums, the Pepto, do whatever. You do it beforehand. You're going to help yourself
a good
lot.
Base.
Yeah, exactly.
Super Bowl parties are overrated.
Extremely overrated. Very much so. And I'm not just saying that because I don't have any friends. They're just very overrated. My wife and I like to sit around and watch the game by ourselves, but we do cook some food.
That's good.
We'll cook some food.
I'll be here.
So I'm gonna make sure to load up on antacid because it's very important. I'm just saying that's my advice to you all. And obviously the ibuprofen, if you need it on Monday morning, go ahead with that. You gotta hydrate too. Gotta drink that water. So
water.
All right, that's it for the spread.
Season finale.
Big changes coming to the spread next season. You'll see that at some point, or maybe you won't see it. Thanks as always. No, seriously, I think this
is a good year.
I tell you what, if you made it through this, what are we going on, like 45 minutes? If you made it all the way through the end, thank you very much, because you're probably one of the only people who does that. So those people out there are a few who kind of check in every once in a while, say some nice things. We really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. I think this is the coolest thing that we get to do every week. So we really appreciate people coming by and watching. We did some pretty good numbers this year. Kind of took it to some new heights. Got new graphics for the final week of the season. It's great. So thank you guys so much for watching and kind of hanging out with us and letting us talk football. I think we did a pretty good job other than Ricky. So we'll be back
Apologies
again.
for not doing a Pro Bowl show.
You won last week, though.
That's a good point. Yeah.
We didn't do a Week 17 show either.
Oh, we didn't do Week 17. But hey, Week 17 sucks. Throw it out.
Bye week.
Just like Nick Foles, just throw it out there. Doesn't matter.
That's our bye week.
We're getting out of here. We'll see you again some other time. Bye.